All right. Hello, everyone. Brendon Fatland here. This is me with my son Lincoln. Um, I'm just loading up Moho right now. I did switch over to 13.5.1. The issue with I have with 13 is that whenever I'd load in audio to the project, it would make it so my rendered files would be corrupted. They have fixed that in 13.5.1, so now I'm happily switched over. So I'm going to open recent. I'm going to open my Luca project. And so this project right now looks a lot different than where we left off in the last video. Um, so if you look here, I have the eyes complete, the eyebrows, the face is a mess, the nose is okay. The mouth has been updated too. So the nose, the eyes, and the eyebrows are the same. The mouth is different. The face is different. I did the hair and the ears. I don't think I'm going to focus too much on building this part with you guys. I'll go over it real quick. But yeah, it's just a lot of work, and we don't necessarily animate this for the video. I'll do it. Whatever. I'll show you guys. So this is the final project, right?
I can't do it.
You got a Bruno in your head. Don't listen to stupid Bruno. Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Louder. Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Can you still hear him?
Nope, just you.
Good. Now hang on.
Okay. So yep, that's the final. And we're going to remove the SkunkBurger logo. We're going to move Silencio Bruno. We're going to remove the water, which is just, I'm going to rename that to just background, BG, water, whatever. I'll just keep the water there so I know what it is. So now it's just our plain canvas here. Right. So in the last one too, I made a head. And this was just a group, which is just a folder. Since then, if you right click it, you can do convert to bone, and that's what I did here to get it to a bone layer. So, yeah, you can see that there's a lot of differences as I control R and render it. You can see that there's this gradient and shading to his face that was not there before. In fact, if I take off the effects, it'll look just like it did in the video previously. See how it's just really pasty and really not good? So what I did to resolve that was, exit out of that. Let's go into his face. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Now you can do select or layer selector, or you can sort through all of this. For me, I know exactly where it is, but just for the sake of using the right tools, click here. You can see we have his head now selected. We're going to go over to style. We're going to click advanced so we can hide some of this and see more of the screen. You can see here that we have a gradient selected. So we're going to press Q, and that is this tool right here. This is our select shape tool. And you can see that this is, it's doing a lot of crazy stuff. So if I move it around, you can see what it's doing. I'm going to do Control Z to undo that. So we're going to go into our gradient tool and just see what's happening. Okay, so we're going to click his face, so it's selected. I have a gradient and shaded included. So the gradient looks like this. I have like a light peach color, almost the hex code is FFCDB5. It's a light kind of creamy tan peachy color. And then I have a darker FBB897. And then I have a darker color C97349. So it has, and I have it on the radial. So not linear. Linear is where it goes left to right. Radial is where it starts with the left to right, but it has the lightest in the middle. And then it gets darker and darker based on how you set it up here. So left to right, lightest to darkest, lightest, and then it goes out. So it starts in the center and works its way out. And that's how I did this. So that's what you see here essentially is, and if I remove the shading real quick, let's mess up on that. You can see that he just has this light color here, and then it gets darker tan as it moves out. If I throw back on the shading, and I may have played around with this some, so we're going to have to just test this here and see how it looks. So go like that and just see. Render this. Okay, that doesn't look exactly how I had it. So we're going to figure out why that is. Click here. Because I didn't have it clicked. There we go. So that's something like how I had it. I think I may have done something like this to soften it up. Maybe I left it at 24, but I lowered. And the way I'm doing this now is I'm using my mouse wheel and I'm pushing up and down over it. It's a way faster way to do this, in my opinion. So that's how I got his face looking from the Pillsbury Doughboy, which, yeah, just this plain color, and how I gave it some realism and 3D effect. Another person in the comments when I first posted this video said, hey, his nose needs some shading. So one thing I did is, again, we'll select the layer tool right here. We'll click his nose. We'll do Q, select the shape. You'll see I have a drop shadow effect. And you can't see it because it only renders it in here, but it just adds a little bit over here. I'll show you exactly what I did there. So I just see how it adds this little shadowy drop shadow. So it'll give it more of a 3D-esque appearance. Okay, so that's that. Then I made his ears. And again, this is very simple, but I'll show you exactly how I did it. Select the layer tool, go to the ears. What I did is I made it go almost exactly to the skin. It's not perfect. You can see there's some like gaps here. But yeah, so I have it go almost just right to the face. So that I click this and move it out. Click this and move it out. That's what they look like. And again, you accomplish this by, it has some gradients in it as well, some radial gradients. And all I did is I clicked on colors of his face and then made the peach color go out from there. So I saw that on the image reference that I had, I can bring that up. Bring Luca. We'll hide my Luca. You can see that he has some radial kind of effect here where it's this lighter peach color and then it comes out to a tan color and then it even has some white-ish spots on the edge. So that's what I tried to replicate as much as possible in my layer. So if I do Control R, you can see that I have the peach effect here and then it's like a tan and then it gets white. Okay, so that's what, if you click here, you can see that I have that gradient done here. I have the dark color, the light color, and then the lighter color, and then it's a radial effect. You can control these now, which is pretty cool. So one thing I've noticed is when you click on it and you mess around with this, you won't be able to see what you're doing. But if you click here and then you just affect the radial that's in this shape, you can see exactly what you're doing. See how this is too much? This is too little? You just have to kind of play with it until you're comfortable with how it looks. Okay. So that's where I want it. This shape also has a gradient, but it's different. So in the picture, it looked different. So instead of it being darker, I guess it's the exact same. But what I did is I moved the dot further back. So this dot is the epicenter of the middle of the radial effect. So if I really wanted to, I could go like this, but I don't want that. What I wanted was it to have a dark edge here and then come out lighter. So I brought it like back over here. Oops. That's unfortunate. And then I did something like that. And that gave me the feel and vibe I was going for. Now over here in the image the reference image, it's darker and it doesn't really have as much of that lighter edge. This is the exact same thing color wise as this is over here. So just so you know, they're literally the exact same thing. So we covered the face, the ears, the eyes are the same, the nose is the same, excluding the drop shadow. The eyebrows are not exactly the same. I think I lied about that. I added some lines to it. Excuse me. I burped. And I'll get to how you do that in a second after I cover the hair layer. Now the hair layer is what I'll cover next, and it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, that took me quite a long time to figure out how to deal with. Excuse me. So move this around just so it's a little bit the same. Okay. See if that's good. Okay. And you can see that the hair is behind over here versus over here. So, right. Well, I'll leave that for now. We're going to get rid of the background image, Luca. Actually, I'll start with the background image. And I'm going to move it over. I'm going to move over my background image. So as you can see here, they're not exactly the same, right? They are, well, okay, so we're using a vector program. They used a bitmap here, a drawing tool, where they can come in, and they probably even did a 3D software. But to get the same effect as here, I wasn't able to do it. I'm just not skilled enough. I don't understand the software enough or whatever. The closest thing I can do was this. And if you get really close, it doesn't look that great up close. But I'll do my best, at least, if you really want to learn this style, which is, from afar, it looks fine-ish. It's definitely not this, but it's a good in-between, like I said. So if you render it out, that's what it looks like. Okay, so it's not perfect. It's cool in its own right. Okay, so what I did is I gave it a base color. So this shape here, we're going to do, come up to the hair. We're going to grab the center. So I busted them down into different, I have a hair folder. I have a left side, which is not in the folder on purpose. And then I have a right side. Okay. I did this for the purpose of rigging. I'm fine with these staying where they are, but these need to move around some when I go left to right on my bone rig. So just know that these need to be below the hair, outside of the folder. We'll start with the centerpiece. I used a pen tool to create the lines. I grabbed at first a base shape color that I found in here, which is this color, 783B28. And I grabbed that from somewhere in here. And then I said, well, okay, that's fine. But you can see in Luca's hair, there's some dark lines, like almost black. So I knew I'd need a dark black line to kind of give that effect. And then I saw, oh, he kind of has some reddish brown in some spots. It's not black, but it kind of has this hue of red. So then I came in and gave it, I literally, what you do to get this color is you just literally grab your dropper and you go over that reddish brown spot and boom, there it is. And this is probably the exact color that's here. Okay. And then I saw that he had a lighter color in some spots but it wasn't like a white. It wasn't a yellow. It was a lighter brown. But since I'm not a genius with color stuff, I just, again, brought this dropper in, grabbed that. And that's this color. So I grabbed a base color and then 3 highlight colors or 3 accent colors that give it feeling. Okay. You see how there's a swirl here? What I did is I have a pen tool. So a pen tool, I have like a Wacom tablet. Mine's not a Wacom. I have a cheaper version called XP Pen. And I have, it's just a cheapo one. I think you can get them for $69 to $100 online on Amazon. And so what I did is I took my pen tool and we'll hide the other shapes. Ha, that's kind of funny. Oh, I've never even done this even when I was editing it. That is hilarious. So that's probably what Luca's going to look like when he's older. Okay, anyways, we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of the left side. Kind of looks like a baby here. So do you see how he has like a swirl here? I went in, so on this layer or whatever, I went into freehand. If I click T, you can see that there's a bunch of shapes or lines. That's what freehand does. Okay. I did auto stroke. I didn't have autofill. I didn't have auto close. I didn't have weld. I didn't have anything else except merge strokes, which I don't even think I would have on all the time turned on. And again, I don't have my tablet set up, so I'm going to use my mouse to try and replicate it. So right now, it's just the auto stroke. So I need to grab this color and put it into my stroke. Okay. What I did is I said, okay, on top of the swirl, the first part of the swirl, there was a light layer. So I came in and I drew this. Boom. So if I click T, you can see the line I just drew was here. Now you can, I'm sorry, I was going too fast. My width was 2, and then I did grab in here. Oh, where's this one? I think it's here. Yeah. Yes, this is it. So I used this. It's called brush 553_0. It's just one of the brushes. You can use any of these brushes. Some are obviously grass. You don't want to use grass, but you can use some of the ones that are actually made for brush patterns. I just grabbed this one. I gave it a jitter of 360 and a brushing space of brush space of 35. And that's how I did all of these. And I'm not going to redo all of this, but there's some principles that come here on the outer layer, and you don't even need to know the principles, so I don't know if I want to bog you down with that. I literally just copied what I saw here. See how this is a dark area? I put a dark layer here, or a dark line here. See how this is lighter up here? I put more lighter lines there. There wasn't a lot of the brown right up here that I saw except for one line. This is that one line. Okay? Then I came, so there's in drawing, there's rules that you can use. Okay. Since the sun's coming from this direction up here, when it comes down, you want it here, and then it gets darker as it comes down because there's a shadow-esque effect. Well, fine. So I did that. Right here, you'll notice that there's actually a shape. This is not, I believe. Okay, actually, I lied. I just made a swirly thing with the pen tool. And that's it. So that's how I created this. I made it in shapes for a reason, instead of just doing one big mass hair thing. And that's because when I rotate him using my bone layer, I wanted it to be able to give the appearance of life here instead of having to you can see there's a lot of detail inside of each of these, right? So I felt like having one massive, or all of this data is like this, I felt it would be a disservice to myself when trying to rig it. So I broke it down into smaller pieces to make each section more manageable. Remember how I said I would come back to how I did this? I literally just came over here and I saw that there was a light line here. So I grabbed this color for the eyebrow. And then I literally just drew in a few little squigglies to give it more texture. That's all I did for the eyebrows. Now, I could go and show you how to do these, but it's essentially the exact same thing. I saw that this section here was a little section, so I made that one, right? Center left, left side. So, and then center right. I don't want that. And we'll come here. Yep. So I saw that this section was here. It overlapped it some with the center piece, so I didn't need to do the right side of it. Sorry, I keep messing up here. I didn't need to do this side over here, but you can see I literally just followed the same principles. It's the base color, the dark, the reddish brown, and then the light tan. And then that, again, on the top it had more light, and on the bottom it had more dark. Even if I didn't know the drawing principles, that's how it proved true here. It's lighter up here, darker down here, some red and brown in the middle to mix it in. Okay? It doesn't need to be perfect because it's so messy, but as long as you have some more darker lines on the bottom and some lighter ones on the top, it gives it more of an appearance of life. Cool? And then I broke it down into another section, center left, the left side. And I gave this section, so you can see how it has kind of sections. I broke this down into a section as well. And I don't know if I followed any rules over here. Like it's lighter out here and darker here. I don't think I followed that as well. But again, I don't know if you need to be perfect. Like I said, it's so messy and random that it's hard. The hair is hard. I don't think I'm not perfectly happy with the way the hair turned out. And if I knew how to do it better, I would. But this is literally what my skill brought me to. So maybe you don't like the hair part. Maybe you'll find your own way to do the hair. Admittedly, I don't think it's perfect, but it's pretty in its own way. It's just not Pixar pretty, right? It's just a one-man show pretty. Well, I don't know. It has its own charm, I would say. I shouldn't be bashing it too hard. It has its own charm. So, and then I did the same thing with the right side. I'm going slow here, or slower, because it is for me, it was complicated. If I didn't know it, if I wasn't trying to invent this myself, it would be hard. And then typically I have this above the right ear. So the right side was below. Typically it goes here. So if I wanted to show you what it looks like, left side center, left, right. That's my Luca. Okay, so now you have this. I promised I would do the body parts down here as well. So he went through some phases on this. Oh, one thing I didn't mention. See this black area and this black area? All I did inside of, we'll do the center right. So we'll get rid of this left. We'll get rid of the left side and the right side. Okay. We'll go to center right. All I did is I just threw in a shape to make a shape. Go here. Grab fill. Make it black. Put it in place. And it looks like I used a lighter black because I saw that. So what we're going to do to change this color is we're going to click Q, which is this tool right here. It's the shape select shape tool. And I think all I did is I put it towards the yellow and I brought it down some like that. That's not perfect. I could just go like this too. And then I can tell you the exact color it is. So it's this. So I'm selecting Q, select here, and then I'll just grab this color and fill it in. So now it's the same, right? You can see I just have some pointers. All I did, again, is I replicated what I saw here. I saw that there was a dark kind of, I don't know, whatever shape that is called. And then I just tried to replicate that. So I brought this in, brought it in. It's hard to see all this stuff here, but I brought this in, it looks like. And it doesn't need to be perfect, because this area is so like this. Bring this up. And then it should have a line somewhere out here. Right. So that's how I made the shape. And you'll notice on the left side I had another, so I'm going to click that. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to center left. Center left, I have this right here as well. I wanted this to be on top of the left side. See that? But I have it actually on the center left. And I literally just threw the shape there. I did it for purposes of bone, for the rigging inside of my bone stuff. So anyways, just so you know, that's where that is. Right. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. Now he looks like a hipster. Man, Luca is just so cool. He's cool. Okay. Right. Let's come down to his neck and body. Layer select for it's faster. Okay. So, as you can see here, this is his neck layer. That's all it is. It's just a odd shape, lots of points. It's actually wider than you would expect because the jacket oversees it. There's not a lot of fanciness to it. If I click Q and then select shape, I can show you what's going on. I have a gradient effect, which is the exact same gradient as the face. I push the gradient way down here, and I have it way up here, and then I have the gradient effect coming from it down here. And you can see if I move this around slightly, that it gets darker, right? So essentially like that. I render it, okay, right? It's not rocket science on that. But one thing that I didn't have the first rendition of this, because I actually did this in layers, because I was teaching myself a lot of this stuff, is I added a shaded effect. It's the exact same shaded effect as the face. You want to make it, the skin as consistent as possible. Now, yes, you want to make it as consistent as possible. One thing I also did too that's currently not shown is on the body. So if I hide the head section, I have a body section. Did I delete his hand? Hand pink. Visible. I hit it. I made a hand. Yeah. And I made an arm too. Okay. So both of those are currently not in the focus of the camera. So I have my camera thing and I'm literally just going to bring it down and render this out for you to see it. I use the exact same gradient as up here, and I use the shadow effect. I lightened the shadow. I use the color of these lines here. This brownish color is from his hair. It's the reddish brown mixed with a little bit more brown and taking out the red. This is this peachy color here is also from his hair. And yeah, I followed the exact same things from above on that. The reason I didn't put that in the render is because well, as you saw, this rig is more complex. At least for me, it's a more complex rig. And so I wanted to focus on just his face. There's a lot of stuff I could do. He's all technically rigged up. In fact, I think he even has a breathing layer. So if I go like this, yeah, he has a breathe. So check this out. This is something I never even had in the video. Oops. So I have to go up to... Okay, well, it looks bad with the hand. So I'm going to hide the hand again. I'm going to go back to 0 just so it looks a little bit more impressive for you friends. Left hand pink, make it invisible. Right hand pink, make that invisible. Okay, go back out to 1. And then we'll go up to the bone layer. And then we can make him breathe. Now, I actually didn't use this in the video, but you know, Luca's running around. Or Bruno is running around all the time. And because he's running around, I wanted him to have some ability to breathe. So all I did for this it's kind of fun. Silenzio Bruno. Yeah, so anyways, that's fun. I guess I'll show you how to do the breathe thing. It's just a bone layer. To make one of these, you need to be selected on the bone. I'll start from the beginning. Okay, delete this. You want to be on keyframe 0. Select your dude. So you want to, this is your select. You want to select here so you can have this selected when you make a new bone. It'll actually be parented to this. You don't want that. You want to select your bone, select here, go up. Okay, boom. We can call it breathe 2. Okay, then you select here and it's already selected. I want to do show label. I just do that. I'm going to use a constraint. I like using my mouse wheel for this. So I'm going to bring it down to 90. And I'm going to bring this up here, right, to 0. So that way you can rotate it down. I just like that. You don't have to do that, whatever. Okay, and then we're going to go into our thing. So we're selected on our bone layer. We have this bone highlighted, meaning it's selected. When you press this button, meaning new action, it'll make a smart bone for you, which is this. Automatically, you'll know it's a smart bone because it'll label it breathe 2. It'll label it the name of the bone. It's important that it's a smart bone and not an action. So if you're on frame 0, you have the bone layer selected. You have just this bone layer highlighted with your select tool, and you click new action. It'll make it for you. Press OK. Now you're inside of the timeline of the breathe 2. You could tell because of this red arrow. It's nice. Come out to 2. Grab this, rotate it down. Excuse me, I forgot to take off the bone strength. So come back into your main timeline. Click all the way back. What we're going to do right here, this is called bone strength. You could press S or bone strength. You grab it here. You bring it all the way down. You can see you want the bone strength to equal 0. All the way down. Okay? My mistake for not telling you that sooner. Come back in to your bone or breath 2. Come out to 48. Grab your rotate tool. 48 or 2 seconds. You're going to want to rotate it down. That's it. Then you're going to want to come in here. And all we're going to do is bring this up. Okay, that's it. And now I didn't show you how to bind this together yet, but I'll do that in a sec here. So anyways, that's how you make a bone action. Okay. And I guess I'll save it. I don't necessarily need that. But whatever. You might want to make some cool fun stuff and you might want to spend more time on it than I did. I just wanted to teach myself how to make a 2.5D Luca character that looked handsome. Okay, so then we'll come back into the main timeline. We'll go up to our head layer. No, I'll be fair and I'll go through this as well. So we'll click layer select. We'll click here. So we have a shirt and we have a neck. So we already covered the neck. Now we just need to cover the shirt. The shirt, as you can see, I use the same thing. I have a pen tool. You don't need a pen tool to do this. I use the freehand and I just made lines where I saw it over here. So you can see that I don't have this fuzzy effect. He looks like he has a cotton or wool shirt. I did not do that. I did not add the buttons. I kept it pretty simple. I grabbed an in-between color. It wasn't the lightest. It wasn't the darkest. And then I made that the base here. Okay. Right. This is a little darker area. So I grabbed this and this and this and I put that in. And when I render it, you can see that it's not truly dark, and it's because I have the opacity turned down, I believe. Or what do I have here that's making this the way it is? So if I click here, yeah. So I have the opacity, it's black, but I just turn the opacity down to like 30 to 40%. And then when it renders, it has this, you can see it's darker here. It's just a darker shadow. So I thought that was nice, a little nice touch. Yeah, I mean, making the shirt is pretty simple. I did it in sections. So I made the right side here as a shape. And if I click Q, select here, you can see that I have just the fill turned on. And when I click here, neither of those are selecting it. So what is... There we go. Okay. So I came in afterwards, it looks like, with a pen tool. And it looks like I just wrote in what I saw. I don't remember making this, I guess. But apparently that's what I did. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you'll have some basis to go off of. This is just how I did it. Doing this again, I would not do it this way. I would just make a shape. Okay. I would grab, I was probably trying to be fancier than I needed to be, honestly. Okay, why? So I'm in the shape tool. I'm on frame 0. So I go like this. It's fine. Okay. So I grab this shirt color here, and I would go over to this Bruno, and I would go like, I would still do it in sections. So I'd go like this. I would make a box, and then I would just come in. I'd grab T. I would grab this point, and I would go like this. I would grab A, and just bring it into what I see is there. And I would literally just trace the layer, kind of like this. Okay. You see what I'm saying? It's not... and I'm literally just tracing in the layer, and yeah. And you can even do it in sections. So I left the cuff to be its own section, and it's all in the same layer. So when I say section, I mean shape. My apologies. I left it to be its own shape, just for the sake of animating. So if it gets ugly like this and you can't see, just bring it over here, and that gives you more of like up and down to play with. So then you can adjust this one if it's not exactly where you want. And then here we'll go like this. So you get close. You don't want these lines to overlap. So we're going to go like this. Okay. And then something like this. And again, if I'm boring you guys with this, I apologize. I think some people might want to know exactly how I did it. So anyways, that's a shape. And then if I want to select here, and now I can come in and you can apply the stroke. Okay. And if I render this, you can see they're literally the exact same. This looks just like this. I have no idea why I overcomplicated this section. Probably because I spent hundreds of hours or whatever it was doing this. Yeah. And so I did that for different sections. So see, this is a section, this is a section, this is a section, this is a section, and this is a section, and this is. So I did it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, approximately 6 sections. Okay. 3 on this side, 3 on this side. And then I just threw the neck in the middle of it. I started with the neck and then I built off from there. So top to bottom, left to right is a pretty good principle, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, once you have it built, you're going to want to start rigging. Now, I have it divided into your head, neck up, down to your body. I think what most people are going to want to know is the rigging for the head. The body, I didn't really do all that much. Like I showed you, is just really whatever. So all you do for this is you have a shirt. Okay, you click I, which is this, it's called blob brush. That's not right. Bind points. There we go. To do this, you up here, always read this. This describes what actions are available inside of your tools. When you're rigging, it could be a very arduous, long process. To speed that up, know how your shortcuts work and affect your tool. Sometimes I see people, what they'll do is, oh, I got to select these points. I'm going to click my G tool and then use that to select points. You don't want to do that. Everything you need for binding points is done and available inside of the bind points tool. For example, click Alt. I'm holding Alt right now, and then I left click the bone. Now when you left click the bone, the bone is highlighted. It's currently showing you these red dots here are what are bound to this bone. Okay. Over here you can see these light green ones. They're bound to this bone, the light green bone. These purple ones are bound to here, and up here there's a few pink ones that are bound to the top neck bone. Okay. I'm not going to go into an entire tutorial on how to do that. I'm assuming you know, but to test it, you can go like this. Inside of your bone, whatever, you can grab it and move it around. The reason I never moved it, his neck, is because I didn't bind it perfectly here. But I did have the breathing working, and that's all I wanted, I guess. So you can see, you can test your bone. It only has an actionable until it breaks to about here, because you can see here that when you move the bone down, it goes away from it. Okie dokie artichoke. So that's how you bind points to the bones. Again, you're going to want to make your bone strength on these, on all bones, 0. So I did bone strength on the bone layer. I did Control A, which is select all. And then you can see that all of it. So I'm pressing left click down. You can slide it to the right to give it like a crazy amount of bone strength, or bring it all the way down to 0. I want 0, so that's good. All right, to the point you've probably all been waiting for now is the mouth and the bone rigging for it. So the mouth on the last one I made was literally just a stroke. Ugh. Well, yeah, that is a way to do it for a placeholder. But when you're doing this, that's not how you're going to need to have it. So I will give you an example about what I have and how I did it. I have it. Okay, let's get into the mouth tool. Mouth. So I have teeth. So here's my mouth layer, I should say. My mouth layer has a mask. My mask is hiding everything. So I'm going to say no mask this layer. Okay. This is everything that's here. Because this is the base of the mask, it hides the top teeth, bottom teeth, and tongue. It hides it all. On each layer, I also have it bound, each item, I have it bound to a bone. So I can move it around when I animate. I can move the points around his mouth as much as I'd like to as well. So if I want to make it very precise or give it some specific flair, I can. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to come back in here. Well, I guess to get this, I looked at a bunch of different images to find out what their teeth looked like. And I don't have any in here except this Luca one. So I came over and I looked at this dude's teeth and I thought, wow, he's got some nice teeth. Look at that. That's nice. And then I came over to his, I forgot her name, his lady friend. And she also had some nice teeth, but she had a gap here, I noticed. But basically for all of them, they have big scissor front two teeth, you know, the buck teeth, whatever. They had two big teeth. And then it gets a little smaller. And then it has a sharper one on this one. And then it just becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's what I did here, is I made, if I click T, and I come back into the mouth layer, T, top teeth, you can see that, I'll show you exactly what I did. So I have the square tool selected. I have my fill as white and my stroke as black. I'm going to do auto stroke. I'm going to go like this. Okay, whoops. Mine has this selected. Too late, I already made it. So you come back in, you do. Okay. So go like this. And I think what I did exactly is I brought it over and used this as a reference. Kind of. So I said, okay, 1, 2 is the main one. So I broke it down. I clicked A for my points tool. It has sharp corners and auto stroke selected, but not autofill. And I said, okay, I'm going to select here, and I'm going to go down like this, and I'm holding shift to make a straight line down, and auto weld is not selected. So you're going to want auto weld selected. My apologies. I'm holding shift, click, drag down, and then you probably heard the click. Okay, now you have a middle done, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. You click and then drag it down. Click here, drag it down. Okay. So now I'm going to bring it back over here and show you what I did next. So let's say I wanted to be here. So we're going to make a top teeth, and we're probably only going to do the first 4. What you do here is you click T, and you bring this part up. Go like this. Go like that. And then I'm going to bring this and bring it down some. So I'm kind of giving it, do you see how I did that? So it has this curvy feel here, and I'm going to go like this. And I think for some of them I even went like this. So I just did a bunch of points. 3 on each tooth, I believe. And then I brought this up, and then I did the same thing. You know, probably doesn't need to be that aggressive. Okay, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so 3 points here. You just give it some life. So you make it look however you think a tooth should look. Right, so I don't need it to be that wide for the side teeth. And essentially, that's what I did. Teeth are hidden most of the time. They don't need to be perfect. Things that do need to be perfect are high visibility things. The hair is so noisy. That's why you can get away with a lot of this oddities with it. But the things that do need to always look really sharp and crisp are the eyes, which right now they look odd here because this render doesn't render it with smooth lines. It's just a lighter render. The nose, the eyebrows, and the ears, and also the shape of the head. The rest of it is like secondary. Your eyes don't directly go to it. Like when you look at this guy, you see his eyes mostly, and then the other stuff adds to his facial expression. The mouth and the eyes are important. So, but the teeth are hidden most of the time, so you don't really see too much of that. So, good to know, right? So I'm going to delete this, and that's how you make the teeth. And all I did for this is I I basically went like this, and I duplicated layer, top teeth 2, and then I rotated it around, and I drug it down. And then I spaced it out a little bit different. Go like this, blah, blah, blah. And I probably just played around with it until I was comfortable. But essentially, I didn't want to redo a bunch of my work because this already is a long process. Yeah. My phone's ringing. One sec. All right, so kind of forgot exactly where we left off. I just had a quick phone call. I apologize for that. So this is my newly made bottom teeth. I'm going to delete that. So these are my teeth, top and bottom, and then I have a tongue. The tongue is very simple. It's just the shape. And again, I got that color from here. It was like the darker red color from back here. Okay. Control Z, bring it back up. All right, so I'm going to come back in. I made a group. Click on masking. Hide all. Click OK. What it does is when you have this plus, this is your mask. Everything else is hidden in that mask. So I'll teach you what I did here. I literally, it's the most simple thing. It looks more complex than it is. I have right. So I have the interior filled as so I have a black shape, or not a black shape. Right. So all I did is I made a circle like this that have let's see. So I made this. Right. So I have the fill is black, and I have the stroke is this pinky color. And again, I got the pinky color from right here. And then the mouth is black. So if I click T and I move this around, you can see that my background is, you know, black, except for the things that are inside of it. So that's how a masking layer works. And so you have this, and then I just added a bunch of points. Kind of like that. So now you can move these around. You can make like the O shape by kind of going, right. So essentially, this is the very primitive version of it, and a very fast version, albeit. So that's how you make the O. So I think I have on here somewhere. I don't have it here exactly. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to do, I'm on 24. I'm going to go back to 0. Okay, I'm going to go plus add image. I'm going to go back to Moho creation folder. I'm going to find Luca. I'm going to find my mouse shapes. I'm going to bring that in. Okay, so this is the different sounds. You could just go to, it looks like Shutterstock. I don't know where I got this, somewhere online. And you can see that these letters make this sound. You could just Google mouse shape, animated mouse shape, right? Like if we do that here, just in Google, mouth shapes for sounds. I don't know if that's the right words to use for it. But if you click here, in images, there's a crazy amount of stuff you can use. Here's one that's fun. If you like kawaii stuff, yeah, there's a lot, and it just goes on and on and on. This one looks cool. Yeah, the little cute hamster happy. So the MBPH typically makes this closed mouth sound with like a little lip. Yeah. So this is one I used for this. Essentially, basically to tell me where the tongue is and where the teeth should be in relation to the mouth. So the Q should be more closed with a little bit of teeth showing, and essentially that's what I used. Okay, so we're going to come back out to 1. We're going to find our mouse shape. So, oh, and one thing you might need to have is you might, in order to draw not on frame 1, you might need to go into preferences, and you might need to turn on, I think it's in timeline. Nope. Is it documents? General. Tool. No, not there. Tools. Layers and objects. Auto size. Give me a sec. I have to find it because I don't know where it is. Huh. Weird. Okay, so I found it. 13.5.1. It's here in Tools. Enable drawing only at frame 0. Unselect that. You don't want that box checked. The reason I'm doing that though is just so I can show you, because on frame right before this point it doesn't exist. I want to be able to delete it right away. So after this tutorial is done, I want to be able to do that, and then it's just never there. Yeah, and I might just have to go like this to delete it, so it never exists. Yeah. Okay, so now I taught you how to make your mouth shape. What I did next is I came into my head bone and I made a bunch of bones that I thought would be helpful, and most of them ended up not being so helpful, honestly. Some were kind of helpful, I guess. Okay. So I'll show you what I did. So if I grab my manipulate bones tool, I threw the iris, this part, into this layer. I just bound these together, and I don't use this too much. You can tell when Luca's looking at his buddy, Bruno's looking at his buddy, he kind of he doesn't really look too much to the left or right. As you can see, the eye is slanted a little to the left as it comes in, so it doesn't match up perfectly. So I only keep it inside of the eye. I don't let it touch the rim because it looks weird if it does that. I make the mouth wider or smaller, but again, by doing the point binding like I showed you earlier. So if I come into the mouth and I go into actions and I do mouth north or west, I don't think NRW is what I should have labeled it as. North or west? East or west? Whatever. So what I did is I just basically took this layer, like took my T tool, and I just took here and I slid it out. So that's what I did, and then I kind of centered it some. So yeah, that's it there. And then I did the same thing, but the opposite on the exact same thing. So instead of rotating it to the right to make it wider, I made it smaller by so I came out here and I just literally took this and I drug it over. I probably should have recentered it. So that way, see, right. I'm gonna leave it like that though, just so it doesn't break my project, because I think I made this, so I I shouldn't have done this. So I basically wanted my mouth to move to the right and the left based off of where, yeah. All right. So, and then I did the same thing. I just brought it over to the side. So if I'm going to rotate his head left or right, I wanted to be able to do that. Head, larger smile. So maybe I'll just go in and show you what I have here. Whoops. So I'm going to go into the head tool, or the bone layer. I'm going to grab this manipulate bones tool. It's a little janky, but basically what it does is makes his head larger or smaller. Undo that. I'm going to go into that bone layer and just show you what I did. So that way when he's talking, he's meaning something serious and he leans in, he can be like, I just made his head bigger. So all I did for this is I grabbed his head, this layer, and I just made it larger. Or probably what I did is I went into here. Yeah, that's what I did. I grabbed this tool and I just literally selected here and I scaled it up. So I went here and went like that. Okay. So that's how I make it bigger. And I did the exact opposite thing to make it smaller. Right. I just scaled it down. So then he's taken aback when Bruno's buddy's yelling in his face, he's like, whoa, I don't, yeah, whatever. Okay. And then we have up, down, left, right, and then blink. This one's pretty easy. So, and it looks really good. So when you have a high quality eye like this, and you spend a lot of time, you make it look nice. When they blink, it's just this beautiful. And all you do for the blink, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. So we already have the eyes created in the last video, which I think I'm going to mash this all together into one. You want the right eye. You want the iris. You want the eye. So all I did is I brought the eyes and I scaled them down. So let's go directly over here. Oops. So I'm going to press T. So I have, it was just up here. It was just down here. And all I did was, yeah, bring them in to the middle. And then I reduced, see how this goes away? On point 2, it's completely gone. I clicked here and I click C and I did curvature. You could press this or you can make it go to 0. But in the beginning, you can see the curvature is at like 3.37, something like that. Okay, and then you just bring this down and you bring this up. And I gave it a little bit of an arc because I thought that looked nice. And I did that for both. So now you can make them blink. Some people, what they do is they actually have a reverse. So I only have one. But if you do a second blink, you can make his eyes bigger. And I'll do that one with you right now. And I wish I would have done that before. So we'll go into the main timeline. We'll click Luca's head, right? You'll click B to select this bone, or you can select this, the same thing. You can see right here it says select B or just the B button. So you can do that. So this one's only selected. And since we're on frame 0, we have the head selected. This bone is selected. We can press new action and this will make us a smart bone. Again, we know it's a smart bone because it gives it the name of the bone. Since we already have one bone, smart bone named blink, it'll give it blink 2, which is exactly what we want. And now we'll go out to 2. We're going to take our rotation tool and we're going to rotate it up. And now we're going to do the exact opposite of the blink. We're going to make his eyes wider, which probably shouldn't be called blink, but you all follow me. We're going to grab the right eye. We're going to grab T. We're going to grab the whole thing. We're going to, so if you click here, it selects all 4 points. Then you just grab this little, and you can see the 2 arrows going left to right. And we're going to make his eye bigger, and then we're going to center that and see how that looks. We're going to make it bigger, though, to be like very exaggerated, right? No one's eye could ever get that big, but in the cartoon world, whoa, what? You know, that's like popping out at you. So now we're going to do the exact same effect, essentially, to the other eye. Okay, so we're going to come into the right eye. We're going to go to 2. We're going to go click here. All of them are selected. Again, we're on 2 or 48. And we're just going to make that eye really big. And probably not that big then. I'm using this other eye as just a guide or a reference. Whoa, what? What? And I guess you could also make the iris larger too if you want. Just to be like, to make it really pop or outstanding. But I'm not going to do that because this is just for the point of showing you how to rig it all. Let's see if I broke anything.
I can't do
You
it.
got a Bruno in your head. Don't listen to stupid Bruno. Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Louder. Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Can you still hear him?
Nope, just you.
Good. Now hang on.
Okay. Right. So I didn't really I keep skipping around everywhere. The next thing I guess I'll focus on is how to rig the mouth, because I started there and then the eyes kind of boggled me and I was trying to show you all this stuff. The eye direction, I already showed that. These bones here, if I go up to my head layer, I can show you what these bones do. So this bottom lip moves the bottom lip. Okay. The top lip moves the top. The top teeth moves the top teeth. The bottom teeth moves, you got it, the bottom teeth. And he kind of looks like he has a cleft lip here, which is fortunate to see some people are born with. It's because I have this pointed oddly. So what I did is I left, see how this point is right here and this point is right here? I left that intentionally. I left these two there intentionally to show where the resting mouth shape is. So I can always come back to it, which it would be right here. And you can tell it's there because that goes there and then it curves across. So this needs to be like that shape. So if it's up here, you can tell that's really where it goes. It's not good. Right, now that's a home page. So if I come, or a home spot. So if I come into my mouth tool, and this is just how I did it now, you can move this around. You can see exactly where the points are. So I left this point and this point here as my home base. So if I wanted to make different mouth shapes, I can. Now, I watched a video of the, what's it, Luca intro. It's not a intro, it's what's that called where it's like trailer. There we go.
Dinner's ready. Mangiamo.
Definitely hungry.
Creating Porto Rosso and
Okay, watch
I
it.
know your problem. You got a Bruno in your head.
A Bruno.
Say, Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Louder. Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno.
Can you still hear him?
Nope, just you.
So what I did is I based his mouth shapes in this. I watched this about 7,000 times until I finally found his mouth shapes that I kind of wanted. You can see that his mouth, we're looking at him from a right view, but his mouth isn't center. It's not directly below. It's a little off to the right. I didn't copy that exactly because my guy's face is directly on, and I don't have a side view like this either. But, and I also don't have the, there's a little shadow here. I don't have exactly as this, but I use this as my reference to get as much as I could of his expressions to make it as similar as possible. So as he's making these mouth shapes, okay, we're going to turn off this Luca layer so we can see more of this. And maybe we'll give him his hair back, so it's a little bit more completed. So he starts off with saying I. So what I did is here, maybe we'll give it a new layer of. All right, so I'm going to rig his mouth to say good, hang on. Even though that's not him saying it, right? It's his buddy. So to say good, right? We're going to go over here. We're going to find the G, G. So it's going to have the T showing and just that. So we're going to just rig it, and then you'll probably get a better feel for it. So we're going to make all of these by just checking them once with this manipulate bones. It gives it a point right here. I'm not changing it at all. I'm just giving it a point. So when I animate from this point on, it's going to move these. So right here, he starts to say good. So we're going to give that good shape there. So top lip, we're going to move it up. Bottom lip, we're going to move it down. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to go back 1. We're going to grab here and here, and we're going to, which this is the mouth left to right, right? Boom, boom. Okay. We're going to just give it that point. And then the mouth, it should be wider or narrower. That's what the N stands for, is narrow and wide. There we go. I knew I had a reason for doing N. Okay. And I want the mouth to be wider. And I want it to be like that. So see how I did that? I just literally, yep. So now there's the G shape. So good. Okay, now here's the O. So the O should be like that. So now we're going to bring the lip up. Right? To make the O, we're going to narrow it some. We're going to center it. And you barely see any teeth in the good. So we're going to go like, or in the O shape. So then we're going to bring these down. So, D. And now he needs a D. So a D again is, bring the top lip down. We're going to, basically copy the last. And we're going to make it wider. And we're going to center that. Good. Good. Now, which is already here. So we're going to give it points. So that way we can animate from these points. So I'm sure there's a smarter way, but I don't know how to do it. So good. Now an O. So now he needs to do an O again. So to do an O, we could literally just copy this. So a good rule is when you're doing these types of animations, there's an old school rule of 2, meaning you should have 2 frames. And now we need a W. So W is here. And so the W looks like the teeth come down some. The lip stays there, but the bottom lip comes up. And then maybe it's a little bit more narrow. And then we'll center that. Maybe. Now we need an H. So, and I'm just scrolling through until I hear the ha 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 sound, and then you just stop there. We don't want TH, we want H. So where is a ha ha? I guess this could be T. Yeah, that's the ha ha. Well, I don't see a true H on here, so let's do A. Ha. Yeah, because that noise should be fine. So then what we want to do is we want to make the mouth wider. We'll bring it centered. We want to have teeth in it. So we're going to bring the bottom lip down. And we'll bring the bottom teeth up. And then we want the N. So we're going to bring, now we have to close the, and we're going to bring the teeth down some. Bring that, hang. Okay, and then we're going to do this O. Make it narrow. Okay, and then we'll bring the top lip up, right? Because we want it to be more open. Bottom lip down. And then in my head, I hear, and then the N. So we know the N is here again. We've done the N, the constants constantly, which is kind of fun. And then we're just going to give it more of like a neutral pose. I live in Minnesota. I'm not sure if you hear this, but in the background, every Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month in Minnesota, we have tornado warnings. It's just a practice, so I apologize if you hear that loud siren. We live right by one of the tornado station sirens. So I live in the United States, and in the United States, we have the most tornadoes out of anywhere in the world. However, I live in Minnesota, meaning that we don't get many of that. There's a place called Tornado Alley. Just for fun, USA map. So let's bring this bigger. Okay. So just for fun, I live here in Minnesota, somewhere in the Twin Cities. Tornado Alley is, oops. Tornado Alley is like anywhere from right here, kind of like southern Minnesota, to the mountains, down to Texas. And so this area right here is known as Tornado Alley, and there's more tornadoes here than anywhere in the world combined. I think that's a true statement. USA has more tornadoes than anywhere else. The United States gets more tornadoes by far than any place on the planet. It averages about 1,200 twisters a year. Canada, which sees about 100 tornadoes per year, is a distant second place according to the national. So we easily get more tornadoes in the USA than anywhere else. And a tornado, right? It's a big crazy thing. It's a big twister in the air. And it takes your house and blows you all the way to Kansas. So that's a tornado. That's probably like an F1, which means not a very bad tornado. Just enough to damage some trees, maybe ruin the shingles of your house. But an F5 tornado, now that's like bad news blues where, you know, your car has been thrown all over the place. This looks like Texas. Typically in Texas, they don't have basements, so tornadoes are even more dangerous. In Minnesota, though, we have basements, and then if you go in your basement, 9 times out of 10, you're fine. But yeah, it's pretty bad if you're outside in it. Yeah. So anyways, that's why we're here in the tornado warnings. We have a lot of them here. Sorry about that. But you can imagine then, so going back to this, so I'm going to play it.
Good. Now hang on.
So did you see that? That's how you do it. That's how you rig the mouth player, and that's probably the biggest thing people are interested in.
Just you!
Good. Now hang on.
Right. And so if you just take one step at a time and you work it, it's pretty simple to do. When I say it's simple, I'll say this. It's more time consuming than the traditional way that Moho is used. Normally, people don't use a mouth with a bunch of different points on it. They don't do it this way. Normally, what people do is they have a switch layer. So you know what I mean by switch layer? Like you have the switch, and then inside of the switch layer. So if you come up to the wizard, character wizard, and we'll just choose any hunky-dory that will have the default guy. Okay, the boy's here, which is awful. I shouldn't have done it right in the middle of my project, but whatever. So we're going to go down to his head, and then we're going to go down to his mouth, and then we'll look at all the shapes. Where is he? He's masked. Do not mask this layer. Okay, so what we're going to do is throw him all the way up here. Okay. And then we're going to open up the boy. We're going to go down to his mouth again. And you can select all these different shapes of his mouth. You could do smile. You could do E, right? And so when you're making him talk, you then just, for that. So this is a G, so good. So for good, you do like, and then a D, which would be the consonant, or like, and then like, And then you do O. And then A.
Good! Now hang on!
So that's typically how Moho is used to animate the mouse stuff, and I did it really fast. Don't go that fast if you're gonna do stuff. But anyways, that's typically how it's used. So people are like, well, I don't know, this is a much faster way. Sometimes you can even double click. You can go to switch layer, and then you can grab audio source, and you can click on the specific thing, and it'll give it key points and automatically interpolate the switch frames for you. It doesn't work perfectly. I'll give you a better tutorial on that in the future, because this one's getting a little long-winded. So I'm going to delete the boy because we don't need him. Yeah. So I think I've covered everything from the mouth perspective now, and I've shown enough of that. So what I didn't do yet is how to make the head go left to right and up and down. There's so many tutorials on this out there that I don't know if I really need to do it, but since I've gone this far, I might as well finish what I started. Okay. It's just complex what I did. Okay, so in my animation, if I render this right now, this looks awful, right? This looks terrible, bad, no good. No one would ever want to watch me again in the history of stuff. I made a rule that if I change my character's face, I didn't want to have a side view of him. I did not. The mouth is not rigged for it properly. If I really wanted to do it this way, I would create a separate rig altogether that would be specifically for a side view. So just a side note, I only brought his head to about right here in my animation. And that's where you see about, yeah. So if I click this, he still has his, his ear came over some, his hair came over some, and there's some movement. And it's pretty basic. All I did is I moved a little bit. So if we zoom in, you'll see I moved his nose over. So I grabbed his nose and I just slid it over some. And I also did a little bit of a rotate, which is a different tool. And then I did the same thing for his eyes. I just thought, okay, I'm going to slide it over a little bit, and that's it. Same thing with his eyebrows. The hair. Now, when an object is turning left, that means that this section right here is getting larger as it's getting closer towards you. So as you can see, this section gets larger, this section gets smaller, this section curves. So, right? This is larger now. This is a little smaller. So you can see it gets thinner, and this is hidden more. And when it gets here, this goes a little bit over to the left more. That's it. It just gives it the appearance of life. Okay? And then I do the exact opposite when I look the right direction. But again, if I render it and it's way out here, don't judge me off of this. I didn't want it to turn all the way. I rigged it to be good to about this point. So that way I can, move my character around as much as I want. And then I have an up down. So we can look up, which if I render it here, I think this actually does look bad. Yeah, doesn't look great. And then you can look down. I think this one doesn't look as terrible. But his real sweet spot is just a little bit. You can move him around just to give him some life in this area, So that's where I kept my rule of thumb when animating. Now, if you want to take more time yourself and figure out ways where you can make this left, right, up, down look better, that's fine. But you can tell from my purpose of making just a simple intro to that one spot, this was all I needed. At least that's what I told myself. So we're going to go back to the end of this. Okay. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to just animate this real quick with you guys. So good. And I'm going to imagine he's saying like, good. Like he's lifting his head up to the top right. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go. So we're going to go right and then up. And then when he says now, we're going to click here. And then we're going to go. So then I'll go this and bring it up. And then I'm going to come here. And I'm going to come here. So this is my larger one I showed you guys. So I'm going to make it. And I don't know why it does this. I probably screwed something up where it doesn't like it. And remember how we did that, made the blink make his eyes get bigger? So let's try that now. All right. And then we'll bring... We'll make a keyframe for the eyebrows, and we'll lift the eyebrows up. Okay, let's see what it looks like now. And I'm just messing around trying to go quick so I can actually show something here.
Good, now hang on!
So, right, you can see you can add more character. There you have it. I think that's all I can offer. I'm sorry it was 2 hours long. I feel like this video is probably more. I told you it was a long process. Everyone that watched this video this far, thank you for watching. I am not a professional. What I do for a full-time living is I'm a programmer. I love Moho Pro. I love animation. I love anime. I love cartoons. I've always loved it. I've always wanted to make my own. So this is a dream come true to be able to do this and connect with folks out there. If you like it, comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you don't like it, you could, there's a thumb down button. But more importantly, I want feedback. If this is crappy, bad, no good, if you guys don't find this valuable, let me know. I can change, edit, add to it. For example, one guy, I sent a review for this, and he said it doesn't look realistic on the nose because there's no drop shadow. I added that. My wife, who is precious to me, said in my first rendition of this, I had a line here, and she's like, dude, it just looks really bad. You need some shadow there so that way it's more realistic. So I said, fine. So I added the shadow. I added myself. I didn't think the eyebrows looked good because the hair is all cool with detail, and this didn't have detail, so I made the gradient with the little line here. So anyways, if you don't like it, let me know. I'm happy to add. I love answering questions, connecting with new people. If there's something else you'd like to see created, made, tutorials, talked about, if there's anything at all, if you want to see more like 3D environments, animation, frame by frame, which I really don't have too much experience on. If you want to see more of this, but used in a longer project, any of the above, let me know. There are certain things inside of the Moho community that just aren't really used often. Most types, they're used as a straight 2D environment with a 2D background, and there's a character that can move left to right. And sometimes they'll use like a Z index to make it more interchangeable or make it more dynamic. But with Moho, it has so much more potential than just that stuff. So if you're interested in seeing anything else, or if you have a request, I'm happy to take requests. Yeah, and if you want to connect, my biggest thing is I just want to connect with people. Share it. Ask your friends to subscribe or connect with me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all SkunkBurger Animation. So yeah, connect with me. If you want to check out any of my other videos, go ahead. I've just really started making these tutorials, but I have a few of them that are pretty good. One of them that I'll mention right now that's interesting and that actually goes in touch with this. So I go into my YouTube channel, SkunkBurger, my YouTube channel here. It's this right here. It's the Magic Moho transition square. Now this thing is super cool. So what I do is I make a way where you can automatically transition between these different mouse shapes, but using the point system I just showed you. So it's a way to rig it so your point, you don't have to move all the different mouse shapes. With the 6 point I taught you, because I rig it all to 4 different smart bones with a trigger bone selecting all of those. So yeah, you can see it. It's pretty neat. So anyways, if you want to learn how to do this and make and speed up your animation, this is a really great way to do it. So it's kind of long, but I marked it out into sections. Like I said, this section doesn't work very well. And so what I was originally trying to do is make it a circle. Well, that circle didn't work. So this did work well. And I experimented until I got it working fine. Now, it doesn't look as good because I'm using a burger, but just know this would apply to the Luca thing. So if you want to check it out, this is a good tutorial to watch if you want to speed it up. Personally, though, I like both. I think there's a situation where this is usable, but most of the time, I would probably default to using the 5-point system and using these smart bones to change them, because I like having a lot of control. But if I have a long project, then I would use the other one. So anyways, I went way longer than I was hoping to. Again, my name's Brendon Fatlin. My friends call me B-Fat or Fat. You're welcome to call me any of those. Let's connect. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Feel free to, connect with me. I'd love that. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great, what is today? Have a great day, whatever day it is. Bye.